This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Good morning, Lake in Nebraska. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning. Hookup Deluxe. Hi, Harold. Back at you. Oh, boy. A lot of fun today. Talked to Natty last night. Also, probably looking ahead. You know what they like to do, put out the before everything comes together, the way too early top 25. Happy opening day of the portal, which we'll get into that. The portal is open, but we're in a dark period. Okay? Put that we can't officially have people on campus till Friday. A lot of Zoom meetings currently going on, so we'll talk about that. Robin Wash at HuskerOnline.com will join us in about 10 or 15 minutes. Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com as well in the hour number 2. Also, we got more keywords during the show. You heard the first one, 9 a.m. Plant. P-L-A-N-T. Plant.
Like Robert Plant.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's what we all thought of first.
That's all we thought.
When you think of April and Plant, you think Zeppelin.
But all you got to do is text that word to 402-258-2800. Again, 402-258-2800. Plant, P-L-A-N-T. You got to get that word in within the hour. Because as soon as it strikes 10, we'll have a new one for you. Chance to win $1,000. You know what we're going to get into the natty, but I turned the page pretty quick this morning. Got in here. Had pictures come across me from friends. You know what I've been doing all morning? Because I don't usually like tout apps and stuff. Because apps are apps to me. I've been watching Masters.com this morning. And just watching the guys on the range. You can learn a lot about your golf game. Or little whatever. They're pros.
Mm-hmm.
It's little tricks of the trade. But the Masters app might be the greatest app.
Oh, yeah. You can watch every single practice shot that they make on the range with all the tracking data for every shot.
It's the greatest app. It is one that I look forward to putting back. And I'm weird about stuff because I like to keep the phone clean in folders and stuff. So I will get rid of it.
Oh, yeah. And
the apps go away.
You download it on the Monday or Sunday night of Masters Week. Sunday night or Monday morning. I had mine downloaded yesterday morning.
And you put it away. Then you put it away for the year after this week. Put it away.
It's kind of like the tournament app as well. Whatever bracket app you use.
Done. Delete.
Delete.
I don't need any more.
I ain't win. Delete the app.
You didn't win. I don't need any more notifications from that app. Okay, I'm done. But the Masters
that's another side note. I'm going to, unless they are 100% necessary, I'm not taking notifications from your dang app.
No.
Can this app send you notifications? How about no?
No.
Yeah.
Because I don't need any one beeping going off. And two, I don't need the little red notifications. They got to go away. They give me anxiety.
If there's an app that's giving me too many notifications, I delete it.
Gone.
Simple as that.
Gone.
Simple as
I've
that.
had enough of you.
And if you give me the option whenever I first open the app, I'm saying do not send me notifications. If you start sending me notifications, you're gone. You're out the door.
Gone. But the Masters
you're cluttering
app,
my home screen.
But the Masters app, it is phenomenal. I've had Masters.com up, just watching. Right now, they just had the video of the range. I sat here for 45 minutes or so and watched Scotty Scheffler hit on the range. They're talking Colin Morikawa. All the Roy McIlroy.
There was one super interesting bit from the range yesterday. Did you see Bryson DeChambeau's woods?
No. I missed yesterday. See, yesterday I turned the page this morning.
He had lead tape on the crown of his woods on the top.
Really?
Yeah. Kind of by the toe.
Like weighting it down a little bit? Or I don't know what that means.
People thought, well, there was talk about it. And people were like, maybe it's to try to reduce spin.
I don't know.
As you by getting the weight a little higher on the club face. You ever seen lead tape on top of the club?
Nope. If anybody knows what that means, let us know.
I've seen it on the back.
It's
on top.
He does it differently. He's a unique character.
Bit of a mad scientist.
He's a unique character, as you know. Remember going back and at the days where he had the protractor and the way he would like chart the greens and stuff.
Again, bit of a mad scientist.
Yeah, 3D printing his clubs, just like odd stuff. Odd. But we'll talk Masters a lot. I want you to think about this later on because I think some fun math. We talked about spending $20 to eat. Hour number 2, let's get into some Masters talk. We'll make it pretty simple. You're the champion.
Oh, yeah.
An appetizer.
I've been thinking about this.
An appetizer.
So we go 2 appetizers.
2 apps.
An
Give
entree.
me a couple main entrees.
Okay.
And a dessert.
Okay.
Design your Masters Champions dinner.
Are we going to pair it with a wine?
Sure. Only red for me.
Okay.
But we'll make you just think about that. Because, when you think Masters, yeah, you think golf, the golf course, everything beautiful, but it relates directly to food. It's the one golf tournament you go, oh boy, it is food. Did you see what I sent you yesterday on Instagram?
Oh yeah.
Where that Georgia peach
ice cream sandwich?
It ranked. There's a thing out there where they TaylorMade put it out. I believe it's 5 guys who are TaylorMade, whatever, like reps, golfers that are sponsored by TaylorMade.
You had like Rory was on there, Scotty was on there.
But they ranked, I think they ranked their top 5 food items at the Masters, and I believe 3 of them had that ice cream sandwich number 1. Because you asked about it yesterday, it is fantastic.
I'm gonna have to make some Georgia peach ice cream sandwiches for my Masters
boy,
Sunday.
You already got the barbecue sauce roll. You got a lot of stuff going on.
I might have to. Oh, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right, But I also think with the Masters menu, like it can't just be your favorite foods.
No, because
there has to be a small, at least personal connection to the dishes.
Oh,
whether it's this is traditional where I'm from, whether it's I grew up eating this. I mean, Scotty last year is his dad's recipe on the ravioli.
There's got to be some meaning to it.
Was it ravioli that his dad was?
I have to go back and look. I think that's what it was. But again, also that you're judged based on this.
Mm-hmm.
Your people, your peers will judge your menu.
You're judged by some of the greatest golfers of all time.
I can't remember who it was that said, I guess that you're Bubba Watson. It was like, at least we're not going to have some of that Chuck E. Cheese stuff that we had when Bubba was the champion. Like it's an elegant affair.
I always like comparing the Masters Champions dinner to last night. There was the Amateurs dinner, which, to be fair, still great menu.
Yeah,
but you compare it over, and it's like it ain't the same. I need to pull this up. We can get the. We'll get into this next hour, but fully. But the Masters Amateur dinner last night. Let's see. The appetizer was a Caesar salad.
Okay.
And then you had only one choice for the entree. It was a filet mignon with crispy potatoes, baby cauliflower, and bordelaise.
Ooh.
And then
what's wrong with that?
And then for dessert, apple crumble pie with caramel sauce and vanilla ice cream.
As long as it's hot. We'll get to that. Masters Champ menu. Look at those. But hey, last night National Championship came and went. Michigan gets it done. Sorry for all the bettors out there that probably took Michigan late in that one at a 6.5 point line. It was a 6-point win. Congrats to Michigan. The Big Ten streak is over. 26 years. This game, I watched it with some friends last night. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to go. They're like, who are you rooting for? I always hate that question too. I always tell my kids, I'm rooting for a good game. Just because I'm a Husker fan. They're not there. I'm not rooting for you. This game to me, a lot of people are going to go, look at the free throws. Look at it was UConn's inability to defend without fouling that lost this game. Yeah. That's what now, were there some opportunities that Michigan got away with some stuff? I thought so.
Well, I thought Michigan had a more favorable whistle, but I think that also that was how they were playing. They were playing a more physical brand of basketball without fouling for the most part. Yes. I think they got away with some things, and I think UConn got hit with some ticky-tacky stuff, particularly in that second half. But I think that's a result of how Michigan opened this game. And can I also add this game, watching it from an outsider's perspective, that was like playground rock fight.
Oh.
Like
it wasn't the sexiest game to watch.
I do believe that was a game that was probably on the floor a lot more fun than it was to watch.
Yes.
Like that physical brand, like both those teams wanted it bad. The refs were letting them play a little bit more physical,
Mm-hmm.
Especially down low. And that's just a style of game that's going to benefit Michigan.
Yep.
They're more comfortable in that.
Absolutely. You look at the tail of the tape. This wasn't the optically pleasing game from the fan perspective as you're watching it. Both teams shooting less than 40% from the field. Michigan going 2 of 15 from 3. Free throws 25 of 28, knocked them down on that side. Rebounds plus, I mean, you look at UConn had the opportunity in this. When you look at some of the stats, 20 offensive rebounds.
Man, they had that great look that would have cut the lead to it's like 90 seconds left, and they would have cut the lead to, was it 4?
You cut it to 4, maybe 3.
3
could have cut it to 3 and seized a little bit of momentum. But it was a game also that I thought
like it was there for UConn.
But Michigan always made the right. Michigan had an answer for every run, but there weren't many runs for UConn.
Every time there was an opportunity for UConn to make it a little more interesting, felt like Michigan hit a big shot, or Michigan grabs the offensive rebound and lays it home, or Michigan gets a block on the other end, and now they're out in transition. Like, I mean,
it just
felt like Michigan just remained in control of that basketball game through the second half.
Never getting closer than 4 or 5 points. You never felt like they were being pushed at all. Never the shot to knock it down. Again, nobody shot it well. First half was like, oh my gosh. Like first half, you watch Michigan, no threes made. They make 11 a game. They made 2, like, and they're up 5.
Was it 20 fast break points for Michigan in the first half?
Yes.
That was their offense.
Yes, that's what it was. And even if you look at it, getting to the line, 25 of their 69 points were from the line in that game. And shout out Michigan. I did not know. Maybe I just hadn't watched or thought about it enough. Their defense was stellar. Their inside defense was stellar. I mean, the number of blocked shots, it felt like UConn at the rim. Mara is, by the way, he's going to be that's a first-round big man. I know it's not the big man that we're used to seeing knocking down the outside shot. He'll probably develop that, but his hands, his skill around the rim, his ability to be in the rim protector is next to none.
Well,
one play when he, like the outlet pass he threw out at one late in that game, my goodness.
Can we start actually celebrating the fact that college basketball has and is developing big men that play in a more traditional big man style? They still have a little bit of a new school flair to them, but it's not all these 7-footers that are standing by the 3-point line and just popping threes. I mean, Zach Edey is one a couple years ago. You have Mara now.
Yep.
Like you have guys, and there's still the Holmgrens, who I think is actually, since he's been in the NBA, turned into more of a traditional big man with where he plays.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, and you still have the freaks like Wemby that are a bit it all.
Those
Jokic,
are different.
But you're seeing some big men coming out of college basketball that are going to be on NBA rosters that are comfortable in the low post again. And there was probably a 10-year stretch where you didn't see big men in college basketball that were comfortable and skilled in the low post. You know, you had your bruisers down low, but you didn't have that 7'2" guy that could just go to work in the post and go get you a bucket with the jump hook.
Mm-hmm.
Like that felt like it went away from college basketball for years. You had either the big man that was just like a 300-pound load down low that was going to be banging bodies, grabbing offensive boards, laying it back up and in, or you had the big man that was going to be, 7'1", standing at the 3-point line, popping threes on you. I'm glad to see a bit of a resurgence back to that guy that can go back you down in the low post, turn over his left shoulder, fire up that jump hook, and knock it down.
Yeah.
That felt like it went away.
Michigan,
glad to see it back at the top levels of college basketball.
I agree. Michigan gets it done. 69-63. Again, break that streak for the Big Ten 26 years ago. Also, Michigan's first title since 1989. With a constructed roster that was built to do this. Again, now you start to look way too early where we're at. Portal season open today. We'll talk here, coming up with Robin Washington about the portal. Michigan now is the second best odds to repeat next year. Your typical guys are up there.
Well, and it's Michigan after last night. Another important note here. They're the first team with a starting 5 that is all transfers to win a national title. I think that's why there's some confidence moving forward. Is that Dusty May can go out and evaluate and go get the guys that he wants yet again. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of pieces to replace in that Michigan team, but Dusty May he's proven himself to be a guy that understands his vision in the portal and go out and build a championship roster with that portal vision.
Yeah. I think that's a points to, as we continue to talk about this, it's not less. It's not the right word. Maybe less important as your head guy. It's the team that you built around you to do these things. Because that'll be a conversation come up. As we know, there was a head coach announced yesterday for North Carolina.
And I'm excited to give you my take on it. I got to watch him for years with the Nuggets.
Yes, you did.
I'm a Michael Malone fan.
Yes, you did. We'll I have some of those as well. But it's interesting because, again, like you said, it doesn't hurt now. Dusty May has done this. When you win a title, how people want to start coming to play for you. Yep. I think it's a lot about Nebraska, right? You get to the Sweet 16, now the doors are open.
I'm also curious to see how this portal window, if this portal window changes at all, knowing that the executive order on college sports got signed, and there's going to be a lot of legal battles, but if it goes into effect, it changes your portal strategy in 2027 and beyond.
Yep.
Does that change how coaches operate in 2026, looking ahead to what 2027 may be, where it's going to be more difficult to have a roster of one-year mercenaries if you are limited to one undergraduate transfer?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see if that changes on short notice any roster construction with this portal window, or if coaches are going to look down the road and say, that's a problem for me next year. I'm going to keep on building in the same way I have before. And if it screws me in 2027, but we make a championship run in 2026, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
There's going to be different strategies about this portal. I'm curious to see what kind of what takes precedent in college basketball this specific year as you look ahead to potential changes to portal rules coming forward. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, because I think there's also a quote out there we're going to get to watch. I'm going to ask Wash it as well as we talk to him. But I don't know if you saw Rick Pitino's quote about a week or so ago when he said the Blue Bloods don't run college basketball anymore. The Carolina Dukes, Kentuckys, they're all the same with the St. John's of the world. In Arkansas, it's all the same now. Probably goes into that. It's what have you done for me lately kind of conversation with the portal. Because again, Dusty May is probably gonna like the way now 5 in, 5 out, right? 5 in, 5 out. Here we go. Who wants to come play? And he's gonna have the pick of the litter now. They just won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's take our first break. When we come back, it is portal season. A lot of interesting stuff coming up with Nebraska basketball, how they're going to handle the portal, where we're at with roster construction. We'll ask those questions and a whole lot more with Robin Washik from HuskerOnline.com. Portal open. Here's what it said. Brad Faction, I just read this. It came across. I think it hears us. You're adding, going to Bryson DeChambeau, you're adding weight to the toe, the heavier side, it slows the face down from closing.
So it allows him to hit fades?
Yeah, it tends to hit more ball. He said he tends to hit more balls off the toe than anything. Sure.
Mad scientist, as we talked about. Emphasis on the mad. And I like Bryson more than most folks.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis on the mad part of the mad scientist. And that's not necessarily a compliment.
The portal season is going to be amazing.
We got the Quentin Rhymes news. I'm curious to get Robin's take on that.
Yep. Oh, something else was. I live for the game, the final, all that. But is there anything? I'll ask this to Rob. Is there anything better than the one shining moment? How many people? How many people watched One Shining Moment last night? I don't think people watch it a lot. I think people do, right? You'll stay for it because it's late.
I was staying for it last night.
Why?
I'll find it online. You wanting to see Nebraska?
Yes. The number of references. There's one. So we got, I think there was like a Sam, a Jamarcus Lawrence, and a Price. Right? Was it 3?
Yeah.
And then the Vandy rim out shot.
Yep. So I was surprised we didn't see the Frager layup, did we?
No.
Yeah.
Not in my. I don't believe so. So I think they got a boost last night from Nebraska fans going, "Oh yeah." Welcome back in the morning, Hookup. Happy Tuesday. Michigan did. They took care of business last night, winning the national championship. The guy that always takes care of business in the world of Husker hoops. Our guy from HuskerOnline.com, Robin Wash. What's up, brother?
What's happening?
Boy, Michigan got it done last night, man. Thoughts on the Natty, what it means? I think we were all like, was this like a conference? Let's get the Big Ten a title and get that streak done.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool for the league to finally break that quarter-century championship drought in men's basketball, and kind of another exclamation point on quite the calendar year for Big Ten athletics, winning football, both men's and women's basketball, and then all down the line here. So like it's cool for the Big Ten. I don't know, like Michigan is, they're Michigan, so like that's not going to help with the arrogance factor there. But I guess if you're a conference cheer, it was a good day. If you're not a Michigan fan, it was a tough one. But I think all in all, it only helps the Big Ten just for the profile, prestige, and being able to recruit to the championship conference now for the first time in 26 years.
And a big day for those that are fans of the transfer portal. If you show up to basketball games wearing your portal hat, big one for you. Michigan first team in NCAA history to win a national championship with all 5 starters being transfers.
Yeah, and it's nice when you have a blank check to go out and buy all the best players. Doesn't always work for other teams that way. So Nebraska's got their model. They will continue to hit the portal, but their big focus, and Fred has said this time and again, is retention and keeping a core nucleus to where you're not rebuilding your roster every single offseason. Because, while it worked for Michigan this year, for every Michigan, there's 5 Kansas States and, Indianas and Kentuckys and teams that spent a lot of money on their rosters for very little reward. So, it's a fine line when you navigate the portal. And I think for Nebraska's situation financially and just where they are as a program, they've got the right path for them where you're supplementing through the portal rather than trying to build an entire starting 5.
Speaking of Robin Wash with HuskerOnline.com, Wash, you said the word retention. Let's talk about that right now with the where Nebraska is. Obviously, the portal season opened up today where you can jump in. It's still dark, all that fun stuff. But talk about where we stand or, what you're hearing, because I think that's a lot of what fans are going, all right, who's back, who's not back, what's happening. We already know that Rhymes, will get to him, jumping the portal, but about where we're feeling about the retention of players right now with the ones that hopefully are returning.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. We haven't seen the official, I'm back posts or anything, but sounds like internally most of that is either done or close to being done with the players that you would probably list as your priority retention guys. And so, it's college basketball in 2026, so anything can happen. But I think, for where Nebraska wanted to be entering the first day of the portal, they feel like they're in a good spot in terms of keeping that core nucleus that they want to build around in place. So, we talked to Fred yesterday. He won't give any like names and saying so-and-so is signed, like it's a done deal. But just from things that I've been hearing, I would think that if you're going to name a player on the roster that you hope is going to be back, odds are they're going to be back, just considering or what we've heard to this point. But again, it's always fluid, but I think Nebraska for now is in a pretty good spot.
Robin Washut with us here, HuskerOnline.com, talking college basketball, the upcoming portal window, I guess the active portal window now. And Robin, the news from this morning, the only one that impacts Nebraska, Quentin Rhymes, a guy that I was excited about to see in the program, took this year as a redshirt season, barely got to see anything from him. The reports you heard behind the scenes were good. What do you make of the news that Rhymes is into the portal?
Yeah, it's kind of a casualty of retention. I think that for one, part of it was he struggled to make the jump from high school to the Big Ten level. And, Nebraska took a chance on him. He was an under-recruited 3-star recruit. And, he didn't have a lot of big-time offers beyond Nebraska. And, he took a risk too, kind of making a jump that was probably a bit bigger than he was at the time ready for, which is why the red shirt made sense. Like, he needed a year to grow, and they're hoping that maybe he could make a Frager type jump, but I'm not sure if that ever really happened. I think the speed of the game and just the level of play at the Big Ten was, going to take him some time before he was going to be a legitimate contributor. So, I think it was one of those deals where if he wanted to play here, it was probably going to be a while. And I think he saw the writing on the wall, especially with like Connor Season coming back. Like that ate up a bunch of his potential minutes that he was going to compete for. Will Cooper's emergence is going to eat into his potential minutes. So like there was just a lot of hurdles in his way of being a contributor next season. And, just considering you only have so many years to maximize your college opportunity, he's going to go probably dig down a level and explore some options elsewhere. But, it's just kind of the name of the game. Like, you're always going to lose guys, especially guys that are on the back end of your projected rotation. And when you get old, stay old, the way Nebraska tries to do every year, a lot of these freshmen that you take as a coin flip type deal, they don't always work out. And I think that's the situation on this one.
Well, we all know this. We're in the NIL version of college basketball, college athletics. Talk about like this season for Nebraska, making it to the Sweet 16, the impact of influential people being around and what that impact will be going forward for the NIL situation for Nebraska and where they might fall in this year, because obviously Gannon has spoken about, there'll be a influx of money for basketball and what that means for Nebraska and how methodical, or like the thought is how methodical or how quickly they'll work with the added dollars in the portal.
Well, they'll have more money, but so does everybody else. It's good that this season allowed the Nebraska to kind of reach into some pocketbooks and get some donors supporting them that might haven't have been with the lack of tangible winning. And so they've kind of taken the next step in that regard and have more resources at their disposal than probably ever before in program history. But they're still playing catch up. You're talking about a conference with, $12 million rosters right now. And, probably even more so now looking ahead, just considering the way the landscape is moving. And so if you just want to throw out a ballpark number, let's just hypothetically say Nebraska's around 8 million. Well, you got teams in your own league that are around 12 to 15. So Nebraska's made a lot of progress and have more to work with than ever before, but they're still, pretty far down the list of the richest quote unquote teams, even within their own league. So, it's still going to be an uphill battle for them. They're still going to have to, find some diamonds in the rough and recruit to value and fit and try to, have success as a collective team rather than getting the best individual parts like some other programs are able to do. But it certainly will help that, now at least they're going to be able to get in the conversation with some caliber of players that maybe a year or two ago they wouldn't stand a chance with, just because they didn't have the money. So they have more money now, and especially when you look at, there's two positions they really need, center and point guard. Those are two most expensive positions to recruit out of the portal by a long shot. So now having a little bit more money, you can maybe have an opportunity with some guys that you otherwise couldn't. But again, it's kind of a two-sided coin here, where Nebraska's got more to work with, but they still don't have nearly enough as the top part of the league that they're in.
How do you power rank the needs for Nebraska? You talked about center and point guard being the two most important spots, both of them pressing. You're going to need to find a guy in each of those spots that I think can contribute right away, be a guy that is producing for you in 2026, 2027. How do you rank those? Are they 1A, 1B? Does one rank above the other in terms of Nebraska's needs?
Yeah, center's a big one, just because that's kind of what makes Fred's system work. Obviously you'd like to find the guy that can do all the things Rink could do. They don't necessarily have to have another Rink. Like, they had a pretty good system when Derek Walker was kind of running that point forward position, and he couldn't shoot worth a lick, but he led the team in assists and was really efficient at the basket. So I think there's different ways that you can approach that position, but a big that can bring the ball up, initiate the offense, facilitate in the half court, and ideally give you a legitimate 3-point threat. That's when you get the spacing and the off-ball movement that makes Fred's system so good. So that's where it starts. They've got to go get kind of that go-to day one starter center, and that's priority 1 or 1A, however you want to do it. And then obviously they need some backcourt help with what they lose with Marcus Lawrence and Sam Hoiberg. I'm curious to see what types of guys they go after, because Fred usually likes bigger guards, like the Sam Griesels, the Bantons. I think he's kind of intrigued with that kind of taller, stronger lead guard, which they obviously did not have this last season. So there's some guys that you've seen float around that fit that profile. But one thing, as far as any player, regardless of position, is shooting is non-negotiable. If you're not a legitimate 3-point shooter, odds are they're not going to take you. So I don't know if like a true point guard, quote unquote, is like a must for Nebraska. And Fred said a couple times that this year they didn't have a true point guard on the roster, and they had the best season in program history. So, I don't know if that's necessarily a necessity with one of those backcourt spots. Like, I think they need guys that can play point, but they want them to be just as much scoring threats as they are a true pass first point guard, just because, the versatility is the name of the game in this system, and they need guys that can do everything.
Well, watch also, go ahead talk about the portal process, where we're at right now. Obviously, it's I got my air quotes up. It's open today, but dark period. They can't get to campus till Friday. Talk about that process, and then are there a few names that you've kind of focused on that we might see make their way to campus with those positions that we talked about?
Yeah. So today is the first day of the portal. Players officially entering. Coaches can contact portal players that have formally entered, but the weird thing is that they're still in a recruiting dead period, so you can't have any in-person contact. So no visits, no in-home visits, no face-to-face meetings of any kind until Friday. So it's a weird start to the portal season, especially with only a 15-day portal window. You kind of got to like strategize how you're initiating this first round of contact, where they've done so much behind the scenes. Like, it's not like you're just cold calling guys right now. Like, basically this is like, you're going to start out with Zooms and phone calls and stuff today and tomorrow, and probably a little bit on Thursday. And then Friday, all that's going to be kind of built up to setting up visits or possibly landing commitments. So I know Nebraska wants to try to get out in front of this stuff early, just because the longer you wait, the more opportunity is for other teams with more money to come in and outbid you for guys. That's burned them in the past couple classes or portal cycles. So the sooner they can check off those priority boxes, the better. But it's kind of weird because of the way that the NCAA, for whatever reason, decided to overlap the portal window and the recruiting dead period. So it might take a few more days to get guys on campus and really get the ball rolling. As far as guys to look at, there's the kid from Utah Valley, Trevin Lenhart. He's a 6'5" point guard. I talk about those bigger point guards. He's a guy that I'm keeping an eye on. And then, hold on, I can give you a list here of guys that I've actually named. There's the big from, here we go. All right. Drew Fielder, the big from Boise State. He's a 6'11" kid that Nebraska's recruited a couple times actually out of high school. And then after his first portal a couple years ago, he's a guy that I think, when you talk about the offensive versatility, would check a lot of boxes. Lenhart is a guard that I think is kind of an ideal fit for what they're looking for. Trayson Anderson, the from Pius forward at North Dakota State. He's an obvious one that's been linked to Nebraska. Braden Speed is a guard from Loyola, Maryland, who I don't know how high up he is on the priority list, but I do know that he is on Nebraska's radar as maybe a second guard that they take. So, I mean, there's some names that have been floated out there, but I always wait until, you actually get some tangible traction with guys, whether it's visits or, rumor mill stuff that gives you a little bit more insight. Right now, it's just kind of speculation and still the very kind of beginning stages of a lot of this. You go back to last year, Bryce committed, while Nebraska was out in Vegas, and there was a few days after the portal had been open, and he was their top priority guy that, they're going all hands on deck with, and it still took a few days to get it done. So people are refreshing apps and all this stuff right now to get news. It's not like, signing day where it just comes in fast and furious. This will be a process where, they, do their due diligence and work to, kind of separate their top targets and, make some headway there, hopefully set up some visits and all that stuff. But long story short, we're just getting rolling here, but there are some guys that would make sense that are confirmed targets on Nebraska's radar.
Is it fair to say that if all goes to plan, if this is an ideal portal window, Nebraska will get its work done by Thursday, and by the time guys can make it to campus on Friday, it's more about signing on the dotted line? You kind of saw that with football this past offseason where you're getting the handshake agreements with guys via Zoom meetings, via phone calls, and by the time they finally make it to campus, it's just about signing that NIL agreement, kind of finalizing things. In an ideal world, are you seeing Nebraska with 2 to 3 guys that are signing on the dotted line come Friday, though it could take longer?
Yeah, I don't have any idea of a timeline, but I do know that time is of the essence. Again, the longer things play out with their top guys, the further removed you are from that initial contact, I think it lowers Nebraska's chances, just because that means that agents are trying to look for other bids and try to make more money, and can oftentimes price Nebraska out, especially when some other school that has twice as much money as Nebraska just writes a blank check and completely changes the entire discussion. So the faster that they can get their guys, the better. But again, they're going to be smart about this, just because they don't have the resources, and so they've got to make sure they don't miss. And so it's about fit, not just with the roster and the culture, but you got to fit the salary cap, so to speak, too. So there's a lot that goes involved in it, and Nebraska's not going to rush anything. But that being said, the longer they let things play out, odds are it reduces their chances of getting maybe some of their top guys.
Does that also apply to guys that they're trying to retain, the guys currently on roster, that the longer it goes before you get confirmation that a guy is either into the portal or a guy is signed on the dotted line for another year with Nebraska, that it becomes worse for Nebraska the longer those things take?
No, I think that's a totally different conversation because I think a lot of that stuff's already done. And, it's just a matter of whenever said player feels like putting out a tweet. But from what I've heard, they've made a lot of headway with that. And so I don't think, maybe outside of a couple back end of the rotation guys, you're really worried about any departures at this point. It's just because that's been their priority up into this part of the off season, is making sure that they have their nucleus back. And again, I think they've accomplished quite a bit in that regard.
Wash, I also, before we get you out of here, I know you being a big Hoops fan and covering Nebraska. Last night when you watched One Shining Moment, was it the most focused you've ever been on watching One Shining Moment? And shout out probably Husker fans. They probably gave them a boost last night in that time slot, watching that 3 or 4 minutes worth of video.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, usually you don't get to see much Husker clips in that montage, and we got several. I think there was, what they say, like 5 or 6 or something like that, so, total, yeah. But between like fans and different Nebraska games and stuff. So that was fun. It's kind of a consolation that the season ended sooner than fans may have wanted, but you still get to be part of it. Like, Nebraska was a Sweet 16 team that had multiple appearances in the One Shining Moment, and like it felt like Nebraska wasn't on the outside looking in like they've been for the majority of their program history. Like they had a seat at the table this year and got to experience the fun of March Madness the way so many other schools have gotten to do for so long.
Awesome. Hey, Wash, appreciate your time, my friend. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you real soon. And happy refreshing the app season for you.
Yeah, here we go. We're just getting rolling here. It's going to be a fun week.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Take care.
Yep, see you.
Robin Wash at HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from him. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Oh, there's some good ones today, this day in sports. Good morning, everybody. Arlo, FloodX10, Shane. Thank you, Shane. Yeah, we'll be there soon. We're working on it. Morning, Todd.
Do you also want to do some quick thoughts on Michael Malone here?
I do.
While we talk some college basketball, because you said we're talking Masters dinner to lead off next hour.
Yep. Let's go there. I actually, last night when it happened, and I sent you the message, I went into my notes and I put notes down of my thoughts on that hire.
Mm-hmm. I have thoughts. I'm gonna go blow my nose real quick.
Thank you, allergies. They're back.
They're back. That rain last night.
Hashtag it rained ? Did not know. Didn't know it rained. What a crazy time. What a crazy time. You're seeing, like, it's about jumping in the portal. There's like, I know there's a website, but like you're seeing posts, like there's 1,000 kids in the portal already.
Oh, yeah, it's craziness. I did see one important one. See Nick Janowski into the portal?
I did. Did you all? Yep, I saw that one. Did you see from up north?
Owen Freeman?
Yeah. Back in it. I don't even think it matters anymore. Like, honestly, when you look at roster construction, like, I don't think it matters the number of kids that jump in the portal from your school. Because if you got the dollars and you got the personnel in place, you'll just read. Like, for instance, is it 5 of those guys just went in the portal? He's just going to get 5 more and then mold them together somehow. like I was talking to some buddies back home about what we're going to talk about with Mike with Malone.
Mm-hmm.
The number of kids that like, there's probably like, I don't know if Carolina has a team right now.
Coming back.
All right. Welcome back in the morning. Another special thanks to Robin Wash of HuskerOnline.com. Boy, big hire yesterday. I think it sent a little shock faces to a lot of Carolina fans. It did not surprise a lot of the former players. One being Tyler Hansbrough on his podcast, so that a couple of weeks ago said, "Hey, our first name Mike Malone, Michael
Don't call him Mike.
Michael Malone."
You see this whole blow up on whenever he's with the Nuggets. His friends can call him Mike. At work, he is Michael. Do not call him Mike.
He's the first coach in outside the Carolina family since Frank McGuire to be hired at Carolina.
What is interesting, his daughter does go to North Carolina.
Yep, she's a volleyball player. He has spent time there after reading a lot of stuff. He was asked to speak at Carolina basketball practices 5 or 6 times throughout the year.
Let me tell you, I think the world of Michael Malone. As a Nuggets fan, he got a lot of help from Jokic. But he was huge on bringing that young team along whenever it was Jokic and Murray, Bones Highland, like a lot of young guys, kind of immature. He taught all those guys how to be professionals.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing with him. Now, I do think his coaching style will probably, I don't know, sometimes it's kind of hard to get through to NBA vets. Whenever you bring vets in and you kind of have this hard-nosed professional style about you, guys that have been in the league for 10 years got their own style, and they're not going to throw that to the side just because some head coach tells them this is what they need to do. If you get it on college kids, maybe a little bit more impressionable, guys that aren't making hundreds of millions of dollars to go play basketball, will you get through to them? Or with this new generation of kids that people love talking about, well, they kind of put him to the side because he's hard-nosed. He'll yell at you. He'll get after you just a little bit. He needs to find the right style of guy. But I think similar to what we said with Matt Rule in Carolina, where you just have a guy that whenever they are very detail-oriented, they want all the guys to play in a certain way. Sometimes guys that have been in the league for 10 years don't want to hear that. Does it work better with college kids? That's the question. But he's a great basketball coach, and I'm excited to see how this goes.
Here's what I like about this. Again, we all know this. It's a weird world of NIL and what he's going to build. That's the next step is what his staff's going to be. What I like about it from the Carolina fan perspective, I think over time, the program with their hires, not that, again, there's been the greats, Dean Smith, the Roy Williams, all of them, right? It's been in the last few years very safe. And Carolina has become very safe in the Carolina way. This is going to bring, to me, it's going to mix up the environment, a tension of uncomfortability. You're shaking up the Carolina way. You're bringing a guy like this in that is going to be like, hey, great X's and O's. I'm an NBA champion. He's the only one in the business that can say now he's a college coach, NBA champ, 500 plus wins in the NBA. But what you're talking about, that uncomfortability, that tension, that hard nose, I believe is what the Carolina brand needs. Because it is a different way to do things in college athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where I loved Hubert. Hubert was more about the Carolina way. I love these guys, this and that. But it's not about that anymore. And it still is. It's still a respect for your coach.
And Malone he's still a player's coach.
Yes. You see
if the players and him kind of match up in terms of temperament. He needs guys that bleed basketball, that are willing to leave it all on the floor. Mm-hmm. He needs guys that lock in on the defensive end. That was huge. In a time in the NBA when nobody cares about defense, he was big on the defense with the Nuggets. Like, he needs guys that play that hard-nosed style. If you don't, you're going to hate Michael Malone. But if you can play his way, he's going to love you, and you're going to love him back. I mean, there's so many guys throughout his history that, Boogie Cousins was a huge Michael Malone fan.
Yep. I mean, you're hearing it across the
Jokic was a big Michael Malone guy. Like, guys that play in the way that he wants will absolutely adore him, and he will have their back. But if you're not playing his way, you're in the doghouse.
I think that is going to be the overall hardest thing right now is, one, being hired and portal opening so close together. How you're going to get that talent evaluation, right? New coach, new way. I do believe, and I do believe that he will probably try to retain some of the current staff. I did read, which would be Vavo, Sean May, those type of guys that can bridge the gap. But I like where that's going. And it's a different way to look at college basketball when you're doing it now.
Yep.
He's dealt with contracts. He's dealt with money. I'm in.
I think it's just about getting the right personalities in that building. If you get the right personalities on that team, it'll work.
Yep. Coming up, Masters menu. We'll talk that. Brian Munson, a whole lot more. Sit back, relax. We'll be right back.
The beauty of the budding trees. The misery of the pollen count. Hay fever affects up to 1 in 5 people, getting worse year after year. It's allergy season, set to 11. As you rush to clear the billion grains of pollen off your car, risking itchy eyes and perpetual sneezing, we'll keep you updated on spring's wild forecasts, along with news at the top and bottom of the hour. Stay connected to Lincoln's News Talk, KFOR.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for the protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55, but unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OakStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor at just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all. Oak Street Carpet. 1732 Oak Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. With time running out ahead of his latest deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, there is a new threat this morning from the White House. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
With hours to go until his deadline for Iran to make a deal, President Trump, in an ominous social media post, warns that, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. He adds, quote, I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. The president indicated an off-ramp was still possible, writing, quote, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. The president set an 8 p.m. deadline tonight for Iran to make a deal, warning yesterday that the entire country could be taken out if they do not. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
ABC's Ian Pannell has more from Tel Aviv.
The threat by President Trump, which risks breaching the laws of war that protect civilian infrastructure, is designed to pressure Iran to do two things: to make a deal and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But the regime, publicly at least, shows no signs of caving, urging people to form human chains around power plants and vowing, quotes, the Strait of Hormuz will never return to its former state, especially for America and Israel.
The price of oil rising once again. West Texas crude trading at $116 a barrel right now. Inflation may not be letting up, but many of us might be getting higher tax refunds this year.
The tax cuts included in President Trump's 2025 bill. Their paychecks through the end of December. That's creating refunds that are larger this year than last.
ABC's Jim Ryan. Downtime for the Artemis II mission. The crew members now going farther into space than any other humans. They're on their way back to Earth. The rapper formerly known as Kanye West was today barred from entering the UK. And the music festival he was supposed to have headlined this summer has been canceled. The backlash over his anti-Semitic comments. You're listening to ABC News.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for the protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
A Lincoln man suspected of committing arson and defrauding an insurance company. Good morning. I'm Jeff Moe. It's right now cloudy, 37 degrees at KFOR. A house fire from last fall in central Lincoln appears to have been intentionally set, and a 46-year-old man was arrested for second-degree arson and burning to defraud an insurer. Court documents say Robert Faber was arrested Friday for allegedly setting his home on fire. The court records also say an investigation revealed the fire was set on purpose. Police spoke with a witness who said they saw Faber leaving the home near 25th and L Streets just minutes before firefighters arrived at the scene on November 2nd. Court documents show Faber had an active claim with his insurance company. According to LPD, the house is assessed at $190,000. Going on from 4 to 6 today in the lobby of Union Bank Place at 13th and O, an open house for Project O Street. It consists of improvements done in 3 phases between 9th and 16th Streets, which includes surrounding spaces like the 14th Street Music District.
We want to be supportive of fun events like Zoo Fest and make sure that it's easier to have street parties and support those kinds of gatherings of our community.
Speaking recently in Lincoln's Morning News on KFOR, Mayor Larry Gaylor Baird said the mantra with the project is to get in and get out with each phase. If you have requested an early voting mail-in ballot for the May 12th statewide primary, you should be receiving it by the end of this week. From there, you must have your ballot turned in to Lancaster County Election Commissioner's office by 8 p.m. on the night of the primary, according to Election Commissioner Todd Wilchin.
What I tell voters is a week out, that Tuesday before the election is when I start telling voters to stop mailing their ballots.
You can drop off those early ballots at the Election Commissioner's office near 46th and R Street or 4 other drop-off sites at some Lincoln City libraries. Read more on how to check the status of your early voting ballot, too, at KFORnow.com. Staying cloudy today. There's still that slight chance of rain and a high of 53. I'm Jeff Motes, KFOR News.
Your chance at winning $1,000 is happening right now at Lincoln's KFOR. Just enter this winning word by texting it to 402-258-2800 and you could be our next 1K a day winner. Here is this hour's winning word.
Moon. That's moon. M-O-O-N. Moon.
Now text that word to 402-258-2800 for your chance at $1,000 from Lincoln's KFOR.
When you decide to buy new flooring, you want it installed right away. Hi, Steve Carper from O Street Carpet. With our huge in-stock supply of carpet, tile, and vinyl, wood, and laminate flooring. You buy today and we'll install it right away. While other stores don't deliver that kind of service, we do. In fact, if you'd have purchased your flooring last week...
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Welcome back in the Morning Hookup, hour number 2. Really like that song. My favorite. Coming up, Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com, will join us about 10 or 15 minutes from now. We do some stories that we missed this day in sports. There's some cool ones on this day in sports coming up. Boy, it is Masters week. I'm having a hard time because I know it's like now we talk about this a lot, the flipping. Headphones are kind of weird. Sorry. The flipping of the page, the turning of the page into the next sport. Think, gosh, the Masters is right after the national championship for basketball. I think this is as a sports fan, it becomes tough right now because it's like, where do I go? Baseball is a long season. Football talk, To me, my sports will turn when the weather gets better. It'll be golf. It'll be less watching sports on TV and more doing sports. You in that same boat? Now that you got newfound golf.
Well, we need to go. At some point this week, I hit the driving range and lock that swing in. Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay.
Now I can. I think it's this. You know what?
One of those.
It's this cord.
I'll say one of those ports is also a little bit on the fritz. Is that better?
Oh,
can you hear me now?
My gosh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Sorry.
Morning Hookup, live technical difficulties being solved live on the air. Look at that. No.
Who needs IT?
So, I mean, especially this time of year, because we hit Masters weekend, and I was thinking about this during the break. You kind of hit, in terms of truly interesting sporting events, you hit a lull.
Yeah.
Probably till College World Series time.
Yes.
You have like this month and a half long stretch until you get postseason baseball on the college side of things where you hit a lull. And to me, this time of year, I mean, I'm always out in the baseball field umpiring, which is not me playing sports, but it's different. Try to hit some golf in this time of year. It's about enjoying the weather and less about sitting on your couch. Like, you need things to watch from October through March. You need interesting sporting events. And you get that with football, playoff football. You get in March Madness time. Like,
a plethora of events are happening during that time.
This is more casual sports watching time. And you're going to get, once like June rolls around, you'll get some NHL playoffs, some NBA playoffs. Like, you hit this lull up until like probably June with the men's College World Series.
Yes. Now, we are very blessed currently with other Husker teams that are doing really, really well. Husker baseball. They go at it tonight. They're back at Haymarket Park. What is that? It's a KU at a 6 o'clock first pitch. Bundle up. 6 o'clock first pitch, and they're a big series coming up for Nebraska baseball, as they'll go Kansas tonight. Can they stay level in the midweek, undefeated midweek against another regional opponent, and then they head out to Oregon.
And not to look too far ahead, there is some rain in the forecast this weekend in Eugene. So you're hoping you get an all three with an important series such as that. I mean, it's a top 25 battle out there in Eugene.
Yeah, but yes, tonight, again, 6 o'clock, they'll be out at Haymarket Park. If you're going out there, bundle up. It'll be a chilly, windy night, which is typical for the volatile type weather that we experience about this time. Softball, by the way, they're a few days out. They're headed to Madison, Wisconsin, to take on the Badgers in a 3-game set as they continue their march towards a very successful season so far. But it's Masters week. A lot to talk about with that. But we kind of like the Masters is the one golf tournament, or, but the one golf tournament that relates to food. because of a tradition. One, the patrons get to go out, get the pimento cheese that we talked about yesterday, pimento cheese egg salad sandwiches. It's a value play at its best with a beverage in your hand and getting yourself a Georgia peach ice cream sandwich during those hot afternoon days as you're walking there. And it's a unique experience to do. Like for you, I think you would love to go, but it needs to rain there to knock down the pollen. I'm not lying. I went with my brother-in-law one time. He'll never go back. We walked a few days. One day we walked, and I'm not lying. He wore white tennis shoes.
The yellow by the end of the day.
Oh, my goodness. They were everywhere. And he was a blubbering mess for a week. So the pollens are way up. And right now it sounds like the way you look at the weather out there, it's going to be up.
Yeah.
Dry, windy conditions.
Yeah. Which we can talk later in the week about how that might affect the golfing.
Yes.
But I would probably just take more than the recommended serving size of the allergy medication. I'm sneaking in the nasal spray into the course, doing the best I can.
Sure. What is
it?
it?
I'll make it happen.
That's my Flonase. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. But again, a tradition started by way back. Man, this goes back to way back when they did the Champions Dinner. Ben Hogan introduced this back in 1952, where the champion got to make up their own menu. Also, it was there's a letter. They still have the letter produced out there that you can read, but it also, the only requirements were you wear your green jacket, your champion's jacket, slacks, dress shirt, and a tie, and be on time. That was all to make their menu.
And is this, I mean, in terms of the most exclusive dinners in the United States, it's top 5? Is it number 1?
I don't
see, to go, you either have to be the chairman of Augusta National, or you have to be a Masters champion.
Yes,
you can't buy your way in. You can't know anybody
because you mentioned it earlier. There's an amateur dinner.
And this is
winners only.
I believe the amateur dinner you can bring like family as well.
Yes,
like the amateurs can bring their family. This is
exclusive.
You're not bringing the wife. You're not bringing the kids.
And we're not talking about you being a member of Augusta. You have to be the chairman of the board.
Yes,
you get
that's the only person.
That's the only
no
person.
One else on the board.
No other members can come. Chairman of the board. Past champions only. That's it.
Again, leave the wife, leave the kids. They're not invited.
Hey, sorry.
They didn't win the Masters.
Scotty Scheffler gets to go, but guess what, Meredith? You got 2 young ones. You got to watch while I'm gone.
Enjoy the takeout Chinese food tonight.
There are some. There's a website there. You go back and look at these dinners. They're amazing. They're amazing. I made fun of it a little bit, but it's true. Like you look at some of these dinners and they all have meaning, but like you go back, Hideki Matsuyama was totally like Japanese style with sushi and all this. Patrick Reed and all the different flares. But you go back, I made fun because they've made fun of Bubba Watson's dinner before.
Oh, terrible.
Caesar salad, grilled chicken breast, green beans, mashed potatoes, corn, mac and cheese, cornbread, confetti cake, and vanilla ice cream.
Terrible.
He did that because he's won it. He won it 2 out of 3 years. Same dinner both times.
I've had weddings with like the massive catered food that are better than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible dinner.
Some of these are amazing. Angel Cabrera, Argentine barbecue of chorizo, blood sausage, short ribs, beef fillets. Oh, hello. That was so good. But and let me leave. How would you you're the champion? Build your meal.
Oh, I've been thinking about this.
Build your meal.
Let's start with the appetizers.
Okay, mine is a go-to appetizer that I've done forever, and I love it. Just a nice, beautiful caprese. Big old sliced Roma tomatoes, the big like beef steak tomatoes, just cute mozzarella on top with the balsamic glaze, nice salted sea salt over the top. That'd be the appetizer.
Okay, I got 2. And I'm trying to go a little bit Midwestern flair here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going jalapeno poppers.
Okay.
With the cream cheese filling on the inside. Oh. Throw some corn in there. You know?
Oh, okay.
Give it a little Nebraska flair. And that adds a little sweetness
Mm-hmm.
as well. So the corn cream cheese filling inside a jalapeno popper. Would it work? I think so. I think it'd probably work. We'd find out though. And like not the we're not talking like the deep fried jalapeno. We're talking like the jalapeno popper that's grilled. So you get that nice soft jalapeno. Yeah. And then
you gotta do the grill ones.
And you get kind of like the smokiness on the cream cheese, you know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Yeah. And then Second, I am going Kansas City style pulled pork sliders.
Woo!
Yeah, get like that sweet barbecue sauce on there. Maybe a little coleslaw on the sliders as well, but like nice little
Yeah.
bite-sized pulled pork mini sandwiches.
See that? Then I'd throw my other one. I would throw a salad in. Just a nice, beautiful wedge salad.
Okay, that's good too. Yeah.
Just a nice, beautiful wedge salad. Extra bacon, please.
Ooh.
Okay. True chunks of blue cheese. Oh, man. All right, entrees. I got 2 for sure. One, I would throw it back to my mom. It is just a simple. She makes this chicken and yellow rice dish casserole. It is simple. Grilled chicken breast, chopped up in nice pieces, seasoned well. Just yellow rice, all mixed together. Throw in a little pimento action to it. Fantastic dish. That'd be one. And then we're going meat potato, baby. We're going a nice prime 16-ounce New York strip across the board, finger-leak cut potatoes, and nice grilled asparagus with a little hollandaise sauce or béarnaise for that to throw on top. Simple, simple, simple.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I don't know if I'm even going 2 entrees. Might just go Bubba with the one. How about just
some mac and cheese?
A grilled Nebraska beef ribeye.
Yeah.
Give me some garlic potatoes and give me some roasted Brussels sprouts.
Oh, Brussels sprouts. Those are good.
And I need real buttery potatoes. We're carb loading these.
Are you baked? Are you
up.
baked potato? Or are you going mash?
Mash. Give me the mashed garlic potatoes, real buttery, Brussels sprouts on the side. I was struggling to find a second entree. So why do I need a second entree? The ribeye is a Nebraska beef ribeye is the perfect entree already.
Dessert wise, I got 2. Throwing it back for me. A nice 2 of them. One, nice New York style cheesecake. I love cheesecake. One big fan, but the number 1 dessert, red velvet cake. Real cream cheese frosting. Like that old, like my mom makes it every year for my birthday. A full on, from scratch, red velvet cake. That would be the prime. I'd probably just throw the cheesecake out now. Get out. We're going red velvet, sliced up nice, real traditional homemade cream cheese frosting.
I've been thinking about this, and I'm going slightly Midwestern on this. I don't think it originates in the Midwest, maybe from the South, but I know it's popular around here. We're going a strawberry rhubarb crisp with vanilla bean ice cream.
Is strawberry rhubarb one of the most underrated flavors out there?
Absolutely.
You hear a lot of strawberry, cherry, apple, but there's something about a nice, good strawberry rhubarb crisp. And when you go with crisp
instead of pie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I am one like in dessert world, and I don't need a lot of desserts, but if you throw anything with the word crisp, like an apple crisp,
better than apple pie.
Better than apple.
Peach crisp,
better
than peach pie.
Better.
Yeah.
Better.
It's got the crumbly topping that you get on the crisp. It's elite. Is strawberry rhubarb, is it traditionally Southern?
I don't know.
Is it truly Midwestern?
I think it's Midwestern. I didn't really entertain it or hear about it until I moved here.
Okay.
Because my wife's grandpa, he would make them. What would your menu be? Throw some ideas out there. That'd be so good.
Jeff Snitley says Black Cow Fat Pig in Norfolk has just that on their menu. Check on the strawberry rhubarb.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Because I need to make a trip.
Strawberry rhubarb crisp with vanilla bean ice cream, not just vanilla.
No,
vanilla bean. There's a difference.
There's a huge difference.
Huge difference. I mean that's now that I think about it, I haven't had like a good strawberry rhubarb anything in too long now.
No.
Maybe should I make that for Sunday?
No, you got to stick with the.
I think rhubarb's more of a late summer thing.
Yeah, I think you got to go with what you were talking about. If you're going to go, get some the old Georgia. I think when you're doing this, if you're doing because we're going to do a Masters family day on Saturday. We're planning on it. We're all going to do it. I'm making homemade egg salad. We're making pimento cheese sandwiches. Yep. We are, we're doing it all. My wife, we're probably going to make azaleas.
Yeah, it's classic.
Put the Masters up on the TV. Get in your Masters gear. Have a little traditional Masters family outing at the house.
Yeah, same here. I
I've
told
already
you before.
bought green Ziploc bags. We're gonna I'm putting the sandwiches in green Ziploc bags. I'm gonna stage it like it is at the Masters.
Make sure there's a line to the bathroom. Get a bathroom attendant in there.
I'm doing it all.
No, I've told you before. I'm doing the racks, the ribs, the egg salad sandwiches, probably some azaleas. Maybe I need.
I think I'm gonna have my wife make her peach cobbler. I just had that thought because I'm thinking, how do we incorporate peach being in Georgia? Got to have a peach.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the peach bourbon ribs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peach cobbler.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Now, I think one of the better parts about the Masters is like, I mean, what time do you have food ready for this? You have some of the sandwiches you have ready earlier, and then you have like an actual meal closer to 4 or 5 is kind of my thought here.
Yes.
Once those leaders kind of make the turn,
yep,
that's when you get the food ready. But the best part is you can continue making food during the front 9, and you're still casually following along. You still know what's going on. In the back 9s, that's when you got to sit down and like be fully locked.
Oh,
in.
You're locked in. Like I told you, I go to a Sunday Masters party, and it is front 9 food, back 9 food, and it's all about kind of what you're talking about. It's just your little appetizers, be a little finger sandwiches, a pimento cheese egg salad, some shrimp, and then it locks in ribs, wings. I mean, it's all. Oh.
Shane here chimes in to say his Masters menu. He's going steak frites, key lime pie with a strawberry sauce on that key lime pie.
Boy, you get a good old key lime pie knocked in there. It's so good. Jeff said ribeye, Brussels sprouts, garlic mash. That's what's on that menu.
I mean, that's undefeated. And now you also got to have. I forgot to add this. You got to have some sort of like compound butter, and you can go a lot of different ways to the compound butter. I love going rosemary, thyme, a little bit of lemon, some garlic. Keep it simple, kind of that classic traditional steak, but you got to have that on top of the steak. Yeah.
He said their desserts are awesome too, but out for the house old fashioned instead. Absolutely, that's dessert.
You better believe I got their menu pulled up online right now. Woof. Man, as a secondary option, they got this in their menu. Midwestern. Do you go meatloaf?
Bubba Watson. I looked at one of those menus and it like Zach Johnson. They don't have all the details of all of them still, but Zach Johnson was like Iowa chop.
Yep.
We don't like Iowa a lot, but I thank you, Iowa, for your Iowa pork chops.
Yeah. Let it be known
they're the best in the business.
Pork chop is if you overcook a pork chop, it's one of the easiest to ruin meats.
Yes.
It's up there with chicken breast. Breast and pork chop. If you overcook them, you're done for. Throw it in the trash. Not even worth eating.
Common mistake for people making pork chops or steaks is to undercook them just a little bit, and when they come out, they're going to cook up to where you need them.
Yep. That's what you got to do. But if you have a perfectly cooked pork chop, one of the best bang for your bucks you can get there in terms of meat items.
I agree. We're pork chop fans.
Yeah. The bang for your buck is undefeated. You can get like a thick cut pork chop for like $2.
Oh yeah.
And that can be, if you do it right, it can be just as good as a steak.
Yeah. Especially get those big fat thick ones. And you take that first cut and that juice just,
that's the key. You got to have that thick cut, bone in pork chop.
I agree. Yeah. Good stuff. Masters, a lot to talk about as we continue through. We'll talk about conditions and things like that in the course, and we'll pick some winners and all that fun stuff throughout the week. So let's take a break and come back. Flip it up. We'll go talk some football with Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com.
Yeah, they got this Black Cow Fat Pig, free shout out. They got the pork ribeye. That's the way to go, which is just essentially a bone-in pork chop. Oh,
I was trying to look at some of these menus and like, which one would I enjoy the most?
Scotty's was pretty elite last year.
Oh, so good.
Scotty's was just down home American cooking, you know.
Where's that? I had it up. There were some really good ones.
One thing that I'd love to serve at the Masters dinner that I just think is a little below it would be just some sort of wings. I love wings for an appetizer, but like that feels a little below the Masters, you know?
Yeah, well, you're in the jacket. right? You're in the jacket,
like
you're in the tie.
You got to have something on the menu. To me, it's you got to be able to upscale it.
It's almost like Bubba didn't even care.
Like you can go with those classic American like pub style things, as long as it's a menu item that a great chef can go and upscale and make it special.
2020, Tiger went all in on the Augusta roll sushi, steak and chicken fajita. He went like Mexican on them. Grilled veggies, refried beans, Mexican rice, guac, flan, churros with chocolate sauce and sopapillas.
Well, Tiger's got to start getting creative with it.
Yeah. Well, I want it. Yeah. I think about that. Like, what do you do when you want it? This is your fifth time doing it.
What new menu are you coming up with this?
What was the original? Oh, they don't have it. They don't have like a lot of like
because it's really got
1986 Bernard Longer Wiener Schnitzel.
I mean, hey.
Oh, Nick Faldo back-to-back years went shepherd's pie.
That's one of those things.
Low key.
Down home, it's traditional English, but like give that in the hands of the right chef and they can upscale that and make it special. That's like a perfect master's menu item in my eyes.
Yep.
You can make shepherd's pie as simple or as fancy as you want.
These guys had no creativity back in the day. Bernard Longer, 1994. Was he having like it sounded like he was maybe having like a Thanksgiving dinner, turkey with dressing. Tiger Woods, 1998, young kid, right? 22, I think, or 21 when he won it. Cheeseburger, chicken sandwiches, french fries, milkshakes.
Fire, though. I bet everyone enjoyed it.
Then he stepped his game up in 2002. He won it back-to-back porterhouses. He went to Porterhouse Chicken and Sushi.
I'm going to
get Brian on the board. I'm going to ask Brian that question. It's a great one. All right, let's look over here. What's going on? Welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Thanks for hanging out with Elijah and I on a beautiful Tuesday. Efforting Brian Munson. We're going to ask Brian about his menu, because I'm sure he would knock it out. And we'll talk some Husker football, Husker recruiting. Our guy from HuskerOnline.com, Brian Munson. B, what's up, my friend?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
I got to ask you this. All right, so it's Masters Week. And you know the tradition of the Champions Dinner, right? Well, here's what they do. So past champions, I think it's the most exclusive dinner ever. Only past champions invited.
Right.
You got to wear a green jacket.
Elijah, and they get to call it the menu, right?
Yeah. Brian Munson, you are the past champion. What's the menu like? We just did ours. Appetizer, entree, dessert.
I mean, if you'd like some time to think, we can give you I went appetizer. I went jalapeno poppers. Give me corn for that Midwestern flair in the filling of the jalapeno poppers. I went some pulled pork sliders as another appetizer. Classic Nebraska beef ribeye, Brussels sprouts, mashed potatoes for the entree, and then dessert. I went a strawberry rhubarb crisp with vanilla ice cream.
This guy.
All right, so I play my stuff pretty much up the middle, guys. Except maybe my sides will probably get you a little bit. So. Starter side, onion rings for sure. Gotta be on the list. Then the other side of that, I love me some Brussels sprouts. So I don't know if like you're somewhere in between, like some honey mustard blackened kind of thing on the Brussels sprout. And then I would probably do like some sort of there's a burnt corn kind of thing. You put some pepper, some jalapeno in it, and you kind of got that thing. But I'm going to play it straight to the middle. I love me a good filet. So it'd be fillets for everybody with like mashed potatoes. And then at the very end, dude, I'm really kind of more of just a chocolate dessert kind of guy. So I'm just going to go ahead and call it just like a layered cake, chocolate layered cake.
Ooh. Sounds so good. I was
you guys can't be doing this to me at 10:30 because I've got meetings now from like 11 to 1. I don't get lunch for like 2.5 hours. Now I'm thinking about everything that I would want to have, like if I was either the Masters champion or I was on death row. I cannot. I'm really struggling right now to kind of figure out how I'm going to make it through the next 150 minutes, guys. Thanks a lot.
That's so good. Mine was I went the old caprese salad, the old beefsteak tomatoes with the mozzarella on top, drizzle glaze, the balsamic glaze, a steak potato guy with some grilled asparagus, and I went to the home old school red velvet cake, cream cheese frosting.
I think everything that was said sounds wonderful. I mean, I think you guys can invite me over for dinner anytime that you want to.
The thing is whenever you talk about this, every single option unless you're going like Bubba Watson with he had like a TV dinner style, Masters dinner. It was awful sounding. But for the most part, every time I hear more people like give their opinions, or you hear Masters dinners from years past, you go, yeah, that sounds incredible. There's just so many great food options. I love when people put their own personal flair on, like, these are my favorite menu items. Now you all get to enjoy. I'm like, yeah, that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, it does. It does sound wonderful. And like I said, thanks a lot, guys. I'll be listening to my stomach rumble now for the next 2 hours.
Okay, we're speaking to Brian Muntz with HuskerOnline.com. Well, Brian, let's jump into a little football or recruiting. Thoughts? Again, going back, I know we've probably had a lot of time to think about it now. The spring game has come and went. Thoughts on the impact of spring game with attendance numbers being where they were, and has it done any effect on Nebraska recruiting? Because I would also say that I think spring game numbers are down across the world. And does the spring game still matter to recruits like they used to, or with the ever-changing way of NIL and rev share change what that feeling is from the recruit side?
So it's a lot to unpack. I mean, I wrote about it in 3 and Out a week ago, and I mentioned that, I remember like one of the very first times I got a chance to go, Broderick Thomas was a senior. He was signing all of his Sandman posters, and, the attendance that day was roughly the equivalent. And I don't know how I even found that fact somewhere. I don't know if it was like 1991 or, sometime around there. And I found that like the attendance was very similar to this year's. and I think that even then, kind of being the age of being recruitable, although not good enough to play football in Nebraska, I think that just that kind of size of the amount of people in the stadium, it is noticeable enough to where people understand you're talking about a glorified practice. You're talking about a glorified scrimmage. And I don't think people get too wrapped around it to where, at least the kids didn't. Any of the ones that I spoke with, and I still have spring game interviews to come, guys. And I tried my best to get them all done this weekend, and there was just no way. I think I had like 12 or 13 of them going into like Thursday. So from everybody I spoke with, there was no negative remark about, well, they only had 27,000 fans in the stadium or whatever the number was. That never came up once. And I think that actually it was quite the opposite. It was very much like, hey, there were this many people in the stands, and this was for a scrimmage. Man, I can't wait to see what this place looks like, on a Saturday in the fall. And that's literally the kind of thing that I kept kind of coming around with, coming up with, talking to all the recruits over the last week or so. I think that number, like to your point, that you mentioned, I think it's down overall nationally. I think Nebraska's number is still going to be small, going to still be strong comparatively, and I think that Nebraska can always dangle, the sellout streak, and that you got to come back in the fall. It's the spring game is all about getting you either as a 2027 guy, getting you back for an official visit in a couple of months, or if you're a 2028 and beyond guy, getting you back again in the fall for a game day visit. It's not really a closing weekend. It's a business weekend. It's kind of a gateway visit to try to get you to come back to see something else again.
It's Brian Munson with us here at HuskerOnline.com. And Brian, as you talk about some of the guys that were in town, have you heard any any rumblings of follow-up visits with any of these guys? I know summer window is going to be huge that month of June.
Yeah.
Look ahead to fall as well. Have you heard rumblings of guys that are looking at making that return visit to Nebraska?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to actually have a big thing in 3 and Out tomorrow. There are definitely several guys. The official visits continue to keep coming in about, who's going to be there in June. And this is a really critical time here because you're coming off basically that last recruiting weekend before you're going to start hosting visitors in that first weekend in June. There are several schools that are still hosting visitors right now. Nebraska coaching staff will be back out on the road here, in about a week and a half to go back out and start doing some more evaluating during the recruiting period. So this period, and this is something I'm going to write about tomorrow, and it's kind of what you're, kind of what you're saying here a little bit is that, you've got really no visitors you're planning on having coming in. You have really a lack of kind of other events on campus until you bring, until June comes around, you start bringing in these official visitors. So what kind of has to happen? Well, you got to go back now and circle back to all the guys that were there, during your spring visits, during your spring and winter events, whether it's the junior day, the end of January, or any of the spring practices or the spring game, and make sure that you get all those visits lined up with the official visits, of the guys that you want to get them back on campus. I think that this is going to be hugely critical. This is where the board tended to kind of get decimated, from end of spring to beginning of summer visits. And this is the part here I think that everybody needs to be watching a little bit, because I think Nebraska can't afford to have to kind of go back and bring in guys that maybe haven't taken those types of visits, the quantities of visits to Nebraska, or they're coming in for the first time during an official visit. That tends not to really go Nebraska's way. The way that it usually has to go is that the official visit has to be on the tail end of, at least one other visit and hopefully several other visits, and not just like one variety, but you want a different type of variety. You want a game day visit, you want a junior day, you want a spring practice, you want a spring game. You want to have them have a chance to kind of see all the various things and let them kind of see that they need to kind of get back again one more time for that official visit. So there are several official visits picking up again, or at least we're confirming all of the guys that are coming in. A lot more over the last week or so have been announced. I think that we'll continue to see more, because a lot of guys, and this is something this is one thing that came out of this last weekend that I thought that was very interesting. There are some guys that are just holding off in setting anything up for any official visits at the moment. And the reason why is because they decided that they did not want to go forward with basically committing to these official visits and not having all of their spring visits, under their belt to kind of use that as guidance and how they're going to kind of move forward. And I thought that was really well done on their side to be really kind of a little bit more well thought out. So we'll have to wait and see how some of these spring are going to go for some of these guys. And there will be some guys that will be setting up some official visits here a little bit later on in the month.
Again, we're speaking to Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Well, B, we always talk about recruiting and the future of Nebraska football. Let's get into the impact today. Kids on campus now coming out of spring practice, because we all know this world is what have you done for me lately world. And as we're talking ahead, yeah, we're on some guys, but give me some thoughts on maybe out of spring game or impact freshmen that have a chance, because we don't talk about development of players a lot anymore. We talk about the transfer market and how we got them to Nebraska and their immediate impact. But give me thoughts on a couple of guys or whoever your thoughts are who can make that instant impact at Nebraska this coming season.
Well, I think that, some guys, obviously he wasn't the highest rated guy in the class, but I think after the spring game, everybody's going to go back and come back to Jamal Rule. And I mentioned Jamal Rule in my tunnel talk the week of the spring game that, there was a source, a very connected source. And he told me, don't be surprised if Jamal Rule, gets that number one tag at some point. He has been very impressive so far this spring. And, he just had that issue last fall of just kind of staying healthy, kind of maybe needing, being more of like the only option in a high school offense versus, having a more complicated, complex, balanced offense like you're going to have at Nebraska and having a little bit more depth in the running back room. I think Jamal Rule is going to be the obvious guy that's kind of one of the guys you kind of circled and said, keep an eye on him to like almost being like, number one with a bullet. But like Danny Odom's, real safe bet. But I'll bring up a guy that maybe, who was seen on last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago. And I think that from what else I'm hearing about him, things look really good for him. But Luke Sorensen, the tight end from Anaheim Servite, what really kind of convinced me before anything, even coming to Lincoln, was he was like over 250 pounds before he even left California. So he had really committed to himself about getting his body kind of right, that he was going to be jumping up with what was going to be kind of asked of him to do. So he was adding some weight, adding some strength, got to Lincoln, came in ready to go. And, there's kind of similar words, although, you don't see the tight end position isn't as very clear as it is like maybe handing the ball off in a 75-yard touchdown run to Jamal Rule. But there's been some other kind of, words being thrown around about Luke being maybe that's the top tight end on the team. So I would keep an eye out on Luke Sorensen because I do feel like that's a guy that he can do a little bit of everything for you. He can play tight. He can go in motion. I think he can flex out. I think with that added size, though, he's kind of a guy that you would want to have in there if you got to do some chipping or you got to do some double teaming out there on the edge. I think that he's got some of that strength and that size that you're going to need over there to help out with some of those speed guys in the Big Ten.
Brian Munson with us here, HuskerOnline.com. And Brian, as we look to the future, well, this was kind of news in the past week, but it won't affect until the future. This executive order that's potentially coming to college sports, it would limit undergraduates just one transfer. You get one postgraduate transfer as well. Do you see that changing anything with recruiting strategy moving forward, particularly in 2027, where, there's going to be legal battles. You don't know how this is going to be enforced, if it's going to be enforced. Do you see anything changing both in the short term and the long term with recruiting strategy now that this executive order has been signed and could be coming to college football?
Well, it's got to be music to the coaches' ears. I think the first part of this really that really helped out the coaches was getting things down to one transfer window, first of all, because at this point last year, it was Wild Wild West was starting all over again, and you had just gotten out of it, 5-6 months ago. So now that you're down to one transfer window, and now what you're also saying then is that, if you're one of those undergrad guys, that you just have one opportunity to kind of go back and take a look around or whatever you want to do. I don't think it really changes much. It helps you out because obviously there's so many guys that are on your roster that maybe are using their one-time transfer to come to Nebraska. Nebraska and Matt Rule have been exceptional when it comes to retention. I think that they understand to kind of build a roster, that it's cheaper to kind of do it, the good old-fashioned way by kind of going out there and getting the high school guys, but that, Nebraska's had a pretty massive dependency on continuing to kind of go back to the portal and help out. So I think that the one part here that does get a little scary is that you're going to have to be very keen on your development. How many do you have that ability, like what Nebraska did this last year, to go get 3 portal offensive linemen that kind of all are all guys that you can see, fit, not on the field, they fit in the locker room. That's going to be a question mark now, is like, okay, what does this do to the overall numbers of the players that are in the portal? Because you could go talk to a college coach, and there's probably about 10% of those guys, that are actually in the portal that are really going to be the highly recruited, highly touted, big money guys. And then there's the other guys that were just reserve players at other places that you have to kind of sift through and figure out whether or not they can come and do something for you eventually, somewhere else down the line when it comes to your program. I think that those schools now have to pay close attention to that, because if you're taking a guy like that you feel like is just a low money dude, and you're going to pull him into your program, you know, you may end up just having to own that guy for the next year or 2 or 3. Even though at the time, you know, it just felt like you needed to add somebody to your room for depth, and all of a sudden now they're going to be stuck in your room until they're done, you know, eligibility wise, or decide just to kind of go ahead and give up on the sport altogether. So I think the numbers drive down some things. I think that you have to be very sound on your evaluations. I think it also might even drive up a little bit more on the development side and what you're going to do in your high school class to kind of kick things off.
B, I want to ask this one as well. I think in this world of recruiting, obviously there's monies, there's dollars, there's cents. And now it's the ability, I think, to you as a university, you have to separate yourself. Is there anything that Nebraska does or is doing to help separate themselves? Because I think now, like, you got 20 million, you got 20 million, you got 20, everybody's got 20 million. What are some of those things that Nebraska can do or has done to what I would call create those slight edges here in town?
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the things are obviously is that you want to put those players, you know, into Lincoln. And I think number one, everybody's been very, very surprised by the campus and how it's nestled into downtown Lincoln and how everything kind of looks. And then I think on top of that, you know, just the dedication, I think that the university has kind of shown through the facilities, the development, all the amenities that are there for all the student athletes. I think that those are separators when it comes to all that. But I think that going back to your money question, because I'm going to have a thing to say about this in Tunnel Talk. I think Nebraska has going to, you know, they don't have still the name, they don't have the success, they don't have the continuity that an Oregon, you know, or even like a Michigan, you know, kind of has right now. They don't have any type of way to kind of hang their hat on, you know, some college football playoff berth, or, you know, really having the media kind of dance around and say they're going to win 10 games this year, especially when your line is like 6.5 or 7 or whatever it is, you know, for the upcoming year. So Nebraska can get competitive for maybe like some premium high school guys and premium portal guys. And they can probably go out and pay a little bit more money. They can go out there and say to them, hey, look, yeah, I understand your offer, you know, from them is probably in this area. We're going to go ahead and tell you that you're worth this much to us. And you're going to have to kind of use that to get beyond, you know, some of those things that you're kind of talking about, like where, you know, that you just don't have that tangible, you know, kind of good feeling behind like where things are at with the program in comparison to some of those other schools. So I think you start talking about, you're going to see the things, the facilities, the school, the city, but then I think Nebraska has their eyes on a few guys, and they'll have to circle them and say, we're going to have to go ahead and go up and get these guys and get competitive. Now that we have money, we need to know that that's not a guy that we can kind of touch, you know, 3-4 years from now in the portal for less than X. So let's go ahead and get him in for Y right now and think about him being more of a multi-year guy versus like a 1-year guy stopgap, you know, somewhere else down the line 4 years from now. So I think that that's probably the biggest change that I kind of see about all this stuff, is that I think Matt Rule recognizes the fact that he can do this cheaper through the high school class, through development, and he has to stagger those classes out really well into his rooms. And that may also be, you know, kind of going back to the other question, might kind of be one of those things that kind of is fallout from having only the ability to kind of transfer one time.
Yep, I agree. Good stuff there, Brian, man. As always, we appreciate your time on a Tuesday, hanging out, talking recruiting with us, man. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right, guys. Talk soon.
Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from him. Let's take a break, come back, and do stories that we missed. Todd going in with the Jeff. Now I'm hungry. Thanks, guys. That's all I've been thinking about. Todd's going chicken wings, prime rib, loaded baked potato, cheesecake with any topping you want.
That's got me. Like, I feel like I should go make my master's 3-course dinner now.
Yeah, I don't know. We're focusing the rest of the day. I had other thoughts, what I would pair my food with as I was thinking about it too.
Yeah, the more I think, the more
go with my traditional Southern roots, probably. Boy, I was thinking I made maybe that steak goes with like cheese grits.
Ooh,
and some collard greens. Ooh. I'm just like, where was I at?
Because I do feel like pairing it with where you're from is an important part of the master's dinner. Like giving the folks a taste of where you're from.
Yeah. Because then I'm thinking, all right, man, if I'm going to switch it up, I might as well how about some fried okra?
Oh, that could be a delicious appetizer.
Mm-hmm. My wife was listening, and she is a huge jalapeno popper fan.
Yeah.
But she likes the fried ones.
Okay.
It's cream cheese only.
That's fair.
And she will get them from a place in town. She'll only go to this place in town for those.
I love jalapeno popper. I can go either way with
she just likes I like the grill ones. Like, a little bacon wrap. Popper.
I mean, there's no bad way to eat a jalapeno popper.
There's not.
It really isn't. From a making at home convenience point of view, the deep fry it's a pain.
Yeah, don't work.
There's a place in town that does jalapeno poppers with like a sweet raspberry sauce.
Yeah.
So good.
We need to compare notes.
So I think that's why I'm adding the corn in, because I think there's a nice, if you get the sweet paired with the spicy of the jalapeno popper, with kind of like the lusciousness of the cream cheese, pairing that works beautifully.
I'm so hungry. I'm more hungry than I've ever been right now, I think.
Bless you.
Thank you. I wasn't ready for that one. Looking for some stories. Oh, you know what? I don't. Welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Special thanks to Brian Munson, Husker.com, hanging out with us. Only a few minutes left. We're gonna pivot with this was missed because it goes right to what's happening this week. It's Masters. This day in 1963, 27th Masters ever. A 23-year-old Jack Nicklaus won his first of 6. How about that? 23 years old. He wins his first in 1963. I'm so fired up for the Masters.
How about 1943? This isn't Masters. This is football. The NFL adopts the free substitution rule, which then changes guys didn't have to go play both ways. Helmets were also made mandatory in 1943, and a 10-game schedule was approved for all NFL teams. Again, 1943. Some big changes to the game of football.
Yep. How about this day in 1993? I'm only doing this because it's a Colorado Rockies. Dante Bichette hit his first Colorado Rockies home run in Shea Stadium in this day in 1993.
Love that.
How about that?
We can go back to golf here. 1951, Ben Hogan wins the first of his 2 Masters titles. And as we talked about, the next year institutes the Masters dinner.
Yeah. Oh, I was at this one in this day in 2003. Syracuse defeated Kansas 81-78 to win their first national title. Carmelo Anthony named most valuable, most outstanding player. I was there. I watched that one. That was a great Final Four. It had 4 teams: Marquette, Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
Texas, TJ Ford was on that list. You had Melo and Joey McNamara, the winners. at Syracuse, and you also had Roy Williams, Candace, Heinrich and Collison, and others.
Can I say I missed the Syracuse 2-3 zone?
Oh, that extended zone was so good with Boeheim. I mean, they were so good.
Yeah, that Syracuse ain't been the same ever since Boeheim retired. But that zone that they played, it was great because every single time the tourney rolled around, there'd be some team that would just go so cold. They put up like 40 points in a game because they didn't know how to handle a zone that was that well.
Yes,
I mean, well coached, well structured.
So good. It was so hard. I mean, again, I watched a lot when they were the Big East, when they got in the ACC. Man, they were just long, athletic.
Whew. So many teams struggled with that. And as the conference season wore on, like teams would figure them out, but then they get to the tournament and here comes a team that just was not ready for that zone. Huh. Syracuse ain't been the same.
Nope. You can't. That's just stuff you can't duplicate. I think other one. Oh, this day in 1995, baseball exhibition season began late due to the strike.
Is there one more?
I know you got one. You were like, maybe.
I mean, in 1958, the LA Dodgers erected a 42-foot screen in left field at the LA Coliseum. This is pre-Dodger Stadium to help cut down on home runs.
Wow.
Since it was only 250 feet down the line.
That's back him up. Bring it up there.
40 foot. I mean, it's like a mini green monster.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Husker legend Henry T. Buchanan back talking to us. Also, you have about 3 minutes now. Moon, MOON is the word. 402-258-2800. Get that word and chance to win $1,000. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Elijah and I will catch you on Hump Day.